Welcome back to the Weeby Yoga podcast, everyone. Thank you so much for being here for everybody that's listening, and of course to you, Lori. I am really excited about today's conversation. To everyone that's listening, today we are sitting down with Lori, who is about to graduate from our current yoga teacher training. And she's an incredible human being. She's also a personal trainer. Over the last year, she's also made some super big life-changing decisions around her work, and it has shifted so many things about her, which I will let her share. And she is in the process of building this really incredible life that she wants for herself. So thank you for being here and listening. And today is not about like some polished success story. It's an honest conversation about what it actually looks like to take a leap when you don't feel ready. So, Lori, I'm so happy that you're here. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Heather.
You're welcome. So let's dive right in. Tell me a little bit about what was your life like before teacher training?
So I thought about this, and my life since 2019 has been different than the rest of my life.
Uh-huh.
Before 2019, I was employed full time with the city of Philadelphia as a court reporter. And then I had a surgery at the end of 2019, and then COVID hit. And so for a year and a half, I was doing Zoom. My job was Zoom. And so when I finally did go back to work, life happened and I went into recovery. So I was still doing my job now, a different type of a different part of my job than I normally would. I wasn't in front of the court. I was transcribing stuff that the court was creating.
Yeah.
And so I was at home recovering and getting
Congratulations,
sober.
by the way.
Thank you. 4 years now.
4 years. Stop. Congratulations.
So when I was ready to go back to work, I decided to go back to the city because I had 28 months left of student loan repayments. And the city, I had put all this time in. So I was like, I can do anything for 28 months. In those 28 months, I kept thinking, why am I here again? Why am I here? And I'd met a man and, my life it changed. My life had completely changed once I got sober. And so I went back to work, and in those 28 months, I kept thinking that. And in those 28 months, I also got married. And then after I got married, my husband said, you should really quit your job. You're not happy doing that. And so when I finally decided, because I prayed on it so much, I didn't want to make the decision by myself. So I asked God to help me. And when it was ready to be timed for me to leave, I realized that it was the 28th month. Not ever planning. And ironically enough, I went back for my student loans to be repaid in 28 months. And I was there for 4 months, and the Department of Education forgave them.
Oh my goodness.
So I stayed, I guess, because it wasn't time for me to leave. When I left, I went and I went back, and it's a good job. It was just very stressful.
Yeah.
I wasn't being fulfilled. And I know that life is short, and I wanted a purpose. I wanted to serve my purpose. And so when I went in and I gave my 2 weeks notice, my boss was like, so what's your plan? I was like, I don't know. I don't know what my plan is. And my husband and I talked about it. And I have my personal training cert, like you said. So I was going to do that. And I was like, well, maybe I'll go to yoga teacher training. And then you showed up one day on my reel, on my feed. Yeah.
Wait, so this
That
is
was a lot.
no, it's not a lot. It was actually like so condensed, right? That's like a
Yeah.
really big story in there that you condensed down so into something that sounded very short. So when all of that was going on, like because you quit your job and you knew you were gonna lean into this personal training thing, which is very cool. And then yoga teacher training like snuck its way in. When that was all going on, like what fears and doubts were you having at that time? What what was going on, and then what sort of pushed you to, other than just like seeing me show up annoyingly on the internet probably pretty repeatedly,
I
what was
saw you
happening?
once.
You saw me once. Yes, love that. See, Lori, that all makes sense to me. What was going on? Like, what were your fears and doubts? And then what sort of made you start thinking about yoga teacher training?
So I guess I didn't really have the only fear that I have, I think most people would say, like, if you're going to quit your job, you're afraid about the income, right?
Yeah.
But my husband believed in me. So he was just like, you're going to start training out of the gym. And if you want to go to yoga teacher training. And so in those 2 weeks that I had, given, because I gave a 2 week notice, I still had no plan. My plan was just, I was going to take care of my stepson and make sure that he got to school on time and picked up and, support my husband in his career because he had quit his job a year earlier. And And I was like, maybe I'll go to yoga teacher training. So he and I talked about it because I went to Reiki training before, and I think that spiritually I'm connected to people more authentically that way. Like I've realized that even in recovery. So I reached out to one local studio for me, local, like, anyway, they didn't respond. And so then I reached out again and they didn't respond. And I was like, maybe it's just not for me because I don't want to force anything to happen. Then I gave it to God, and you showed up the next day. And your story was that you were sober and you ran a six-figure business. And I was like,
Wow.
where did this lady come from?
I'll
And
tell you where it
so,
come from. You probably Googled yoga studios near me, and then my paid ads connected and hit
probably,
you, you
yeah.
know? Yeah.
So that was, I think that you and I talked on Friday. I don't know what happened was my last day of work was Friday, and teacher training started on Sunday, 2 days later.
Yeah, you had signed up. You
Yeah,
signed up right before we started. And I remember it was right before we started. I think we had talked, you signed up. We were starting like the next week or so. It was like a very short time around. And then you messaged me and we're like, I quit my job or it was my last day or
yeah,
something.
my last day.
Your last day. And I was like, oh God, I love this woman.
And even through this whole teacher training process, I was holding on to my court reporting machine and like maybe I'll go out and do depositions if it doesn't work out. Maybe I'll do this. And so I sold my court reporting machine last week.
Did you?
Yeah, I sold it.
I have the same, these little safety nets in the back of your head. Wow, this is so cool. So I'm just thinking about your journey as well. I remember within the first few weeks of you being in the training, you already got your first clients for
Yeah.
personal training, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've been training the same two people since then.
Since then, that's
So
what I was going to ask. And they're
yeah.
still with you like what, 4 months, 5 months later, right?
Yeah. And I have some more interests, but I haven't been pushing it because, finishing this yoga cert is the main priority. This
Yeah.
is my job.
Yeah, that's so cool. So let's talk about the actual experience of the training itself. And like, you don't need to sugarcoat anything about it. Like, yoga teacher training is hard. We don't have to
It's hard.
pretend like it's not, you know?
Yeah.
But what about the training surprised you the most? And what felt maybe harder than you expected? And what felt easier than what you expected?
I think that everything was harder than I expected. Just the dedication of the time. Doing yoga more often because I wasn't practicing yoga. I hadn't practiced yoga in years.
Awesome, like meaning awesome, like the actual classes,
The
right?
actual classes,
Mhm.
correct. And since
Because
I've
I
been,
would, I'd argue that you've been practicing yoga every day for the last 4 years,
yeah,
but
I agree. I agree with that. But the actual poses, the actual class, I had it. And I can do so many more push-ups now. So like
yeah,
I've seen a change. But you're right, like I say this a lot. Like I feel like I've always been connected to capital yoga, right? The capital Y, the big yoga, but it looked different to me all of the time. It was recovery or if it was my spiritual the journey that I was trying to learn. I think the thing that's been the hardest is for me is to carve out the time that I needed to do. I think that I did an okay job carving out the time
yeah. Do you mean like to practice teach, like
to
that kind of
practice
stuff?
teach, yeah, to learn the sequence, to be able to set aside time to journal and to read the books. But maybe that's how it's my expectation of my learning, my
Yeah,
curriculum. It's individualized. I enjoyed the yamas and the niyamas more than I thought that I would enjoy them because it's all spiritual. I went into it like, okay, Jesus is my John, but like now I got to listen to all of this, you know, Buddhist stuff. I had Buddhists around a lot, but since I've been in recovery, I've gone, my path looks clearer this way.
yeah,
And I realized that it's all the same message. It's all the same message. And even in the Yamas and the Niyamas, she talks about Christianity, and that made me feel a little more comfortable with the Buddhist aspect. And so that was challenging too,
well, that's
because
beautiful. No, I love that.
I struggled with that a little bit in the beginning.
Yeah, like the clashing of
Yeah.
sort of like
But I
not.
found a lot of,
No, go
sorry,
ahead. Go ahead.
I found a lot of Christian yoga people out there, and they're not my jam either, but I understand a little bit differently than it's a practice, it's a spiritual practice. And the way that I'm going to choose to end my classes may not sound like a namaste way,
Yeah, and
but it's
that's
the same message, right?
100% same. same spiritual message, but bottled in a way that feels authentic to you. And I
Right.
think that that's why you're going to be a really powerful teacher, because you have the ability to lean into like what does feel authentic for you, and then in turn the right students will find you for you, right?
Yeah.
No, I love that, Laura. And like, I think it's really important because we don't have to end every class with namaste,
Right.
especially if it doesn't feel right for you.
Right.
And more importantly, if it doesn't feel right for you, you shouldn't end a class that way, you know? That's really cool. Is there anything that felt easier than you thought it would potentially? Or maybe you just kind of answered that question already.
Yeah. I don't know that anything really felt easier. Even like
No.
just getting in the poses, I was like, wait, what? Oh yeah, I remember, from practicing before.
Yeah.
Um, it's gotten easier for sure. My movements have gotten easier.
Oh, good, good. Like your physical yoga practice
My
has
physical
improved. Yeah,
practice.
you're a
And I think
chaturanga master
too,
now, girl.
I am, it's
Literally, I
amazing.
know. I see you.
But it's also like what's getting easier is to be more me, to allowing it me, right?
Yeah.
Because there was a part of me too when I walked into the room. I shared, who I was. We all shared our story of what brought us to yoga. But I took a step back of who I would normally be in a class, and I listened a lot more this time. So it was different for me, this learning experience.
Love that. Say more if you're
So I
okay with
think, yeah, I think in the past when I learned or I was in a group setting, I would share a lot more of like what I thought, this meant or how this should be. And just by listening, I got other perspectives that I may have missed before. And I think that's a lot of me growing and allowing my authentic self to be there, right? Like because I can be comfortable in a room and just listen and not absorb everything or take what I want and leave the rest behind, right? So
Amen.
I hear people's questions and they may not pertain to me and they may not even be true, but it's true for them. I've heard different things in rooms in this training and it's like, oh, well, this is how much this costs and this is where I go. And I'm like, I know that that's not true, but like, there's no need to get into that kind of conversation with anyone because it's true
Right.
for them. So,
Right. Yeah. 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 It is a process of learning, unlearning, figuring out like what's important to you and how to. I think in any group training experience, it's like learning how to stay in your lane is really important.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I can't wait to hear your answer to this
Okay.
question. Knowing that I was going to ask you this question this is like my favorite question that I'm going to ask you. I'm just going to be totally transparent because of what I know about you. How did this training change the way that you see yourself?
Wow. So, like, even with the personal training clients that I've had, I've been more silly and weird. Like, I've allowed that part of myself to show up. The part that's not sure of herself, I allow that to be seen a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the Yamas and the Niyamas, the version that we read, she talked about she had to hire her granddaughter to teach her how to play again because she had forgotten. And I forgot how to play, but I have a 5-year-old in my life. He's been in my life for a couple of years, Frankie. You may
Shout
know.
out to Frankie.
And he's taught me how to play. So like I've taught him yoga poses and I'm trying to bring that energy that I share with Frankie because I'm the most me version with me and Frankie than I am with anybody.
Mhm.
Sean is a close runner up, but Frankie
Yeah.
gets all of the silly and weirdness, right? So like I'm trying to be that person all of the time in yoga.
Lori,
To
that's a
answer your
pretty big
question, I
deal.
don't think that I did. Yeah.
That's a pretty
It is
big
a big
deal.
deal because I've learned how to play again, like, and to not be so serious. And listen, there's a lot of work to be done.
Well, I also heard you just say you're letting go of perfectionism.
I'm letting go, but it's a process,
It
right?
sure is.
Your process because I see old behaviors popping up and
Hmm.
I have to, it's not always so fast to
Hmm.
remind me, "Oh, that's an old behavior and you're acting like this again." Sometimes my husband has to remind me.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
conversations that I can have with him are so honest that I'm like, oh yeah, I see that now very glaringly, you
I know
know?
it's crazy, isn't it? I think like one of the biggest ways we can even have progress with that kind of stuff is even knowing and acknowledging that working on whether it's perfectionism or allowing yourself to have more fun or showing up with more authenticity, even knowing that it's not a linear path, that it ebbs and flows is a huge step forward.
Yeah.
I always think of like a mentor that I have. She says, put down the bat and pick up the feather, you know? And that's what it sort of makes me think of when we're talking about anything that requires self-development. You know,
Yeah.
it's not, and I don't want people to think it's two steps forward, one step back, because it's not. But it's this process, and that's
It's a
sort of what
process.
yoga is. It's like the eight limb path. It's this design for living that we have where there isn't an end destination. It's like something to be repeated over and over again until we die.
And I know I say that a lot. That's it. That's what. So in the last 5 years, I'd been single my whole life, no children. And then, I met a man with 3 kids and I like this. I like this. And I don't want it to be over. But I realized that like I'm living in the day, it's going to end, right? Like, and I know that that probably sounds very callous to people, but it
It's
makes me
not.
appreciate my life, my day to day,
Yeah.
every day,
Yeah.
like
And it helps you
not
zoom
take
out.
myself so seriously. Say that again.
It helps you like zoom out, you know, it like
Yeah.
helps put things in perspective. I think we get really like, you know, like tightly wound and our perspective becomes really small.
Yeah.
And then when that happens, you know, at least for me, I become very rigid in my thinking and my actions a lot of times.
Yeah. And that happens a lot for me.
Yeah, uh-huh. Every day if I let it.
Yeah, every day.
Laura, can you talk a little bit about like some of the skills and what was covered in the training that you didn't expect, sort of outside of just learning how to teach yoga, that are helping you propel forward with making this a full-time adventure for you?
Oh, yeah, sure. So in the training, I think it was a 5-hour course of business that we did, a yoga business.
Yep.
And yoga is part of my business, right? But I also beta tested your offer builder course. Sean and I both did that together. So it was helpful because I got to bounce ideas off of him for my personal training clients. Because I don't know that it's ever going to be like a traditional full time gig, right? Like, because I'm a stepmom and I have other responsibilities, but I want to make money and I want to share this. So how do I do this?
Yeah. Love that.
So after the business course in the classroom and then doing this offer builder course, I start thinking more about how big it could be without me, I don't know, not a 40-hour work week, basically, right?
Amen,
Like,
sister. That's the beauty of the certification that you're getting is that
right,
you can make 40-hour plus work week money in much less time than 40 hours a week.
right. But I don't want to run around to a whole bunch of studios,
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah. So I started, like, my brain started thinking more in what is the LLC name? Like I took a while to do that, and then it popped the Straub movement. And when I told Sean, I was like, because we're a movement, like we are going
Yes.
to be a movement.
Uh-huh.
And right now we have a small garage gym. I can fit like 6 people in to do yoga, but I have the rec center across the street that they've offered me to be able to rent and to teach workshops. Like I'm thinking bigger, and even so, I put out this. On my Facebook about practicing teaching. Like I need bodies to just do reps. And a couple people that live far from me were like, oh, I wish you lived closer. And I was like, well, once I'm certified, then, maybe we can do like pop up Friday night, events. And they're like, yeah, I can get a few girlfriends together. So like the skills that I've learned have helped me to kind of hone in on that this is a business, right? Like that it is okay to make money doing this.
Yes, ma'am.
I remember when I did Reiki training and, she really drove home that like you just can't give it away because people don't value it as much.
Mhm.
Keeping all of that in perspective.
You talked about how like what we offer in the training. So within the training, we do a business of yoga section. And I also had you test my offer builder course,
Yeah.
which you and shout out to Sean, your husband, love him, went through. And I mean, what I'm hearing is that you took that information and are building it into a sustainable business plan for yourself, which is huge.
Yeah.
And that's the point, is so that you can not only like build something that's sustainable, but still have plenty of time to focus on being with your stepkids and having a relaxed, not a hustling life. And that's the point. The like that is a core value of mine and something that underlines the training is that yoga teachers deserve without fail to be paid well and to be taken seriously and to have the life that they deserve without running around trying to kill themselves, teaching everywhere for no money. It's crazy. So, I think you said that perfectly without me saying it at all.
The yoga aspect, I see how it's made me stronger physically, like with my strength training. So I think that that is like, that's very attractive for me to sell,
Yeah.
you know, because my purpose is to help women. And maybe I shouldn't just, but that's my avatar.
Yeah.
My avatar is to show women that how to live, like all aspects of living. Like, you can fit in 30 minutes of your day for you.
Yeah.
Or it's okay to put a subscription in for a yoga, class for the month. Like those
Right.
things are necessary.
Yeah.
And there has to be a willingness. So, and I think that that's all of those things that I've learned, right, through my own recovery, through life, through everything that I feel like I've lived like a million different lives. Things come to me and I'm like, oh yeah. And then I could say that too, because I know that to be true,
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, I am really grateful that I get to be in whatever version of your life this one is.
Yeah.
Okay, so real talk.
Okay. Real
What
talk.
would you say to somebody that is thinking about signing up and they are worried about not feeling ready or managing their time? What would you say to somebody that's on the fence?
So I think for me, it's always, you have to listen to that inner voice, right? Like if the inner
Yes.
voice, if there's too much static, then it may not be the time for you.
Yeah.
That's me. I
Yeah.
try not to force things to happen. But if it's not staticky, then I think I was asked this question, what are you willing to do? And it's not just for yoga. Like that question was posed to me once and I was like, wait, well, I'm not willing to go get a second job. So what am I willing to do? Like, can I cut subscriptions out? Like those types of things. Like, so what are you willing to do? If this really is something that you want to do, you'll find the time and you'll be able to dedicate, maybe not every night, maybe you won't be able to go to a class, to work on your own yoga practice, but
And you
if
don't
it's
need
something,
to.
no, you don't need to, because you could do yoga videos at home or just go through the sequence that you're learning. But I think it's important to, realistically, you do have to carve out some time for
Yeah.
yourself.
Oh, yeah, big time.
The books that were required, you can do audiobooks. I did both. I read and I listened. But they're so good that it didn't feel like it was homework, right?
Yeah.
So I think that I would tell, if somebody's thinking about being a yoga teacher training, then they're probably going to go to yoga teacher training.
Yeah.
That's what I think. But I wouldn't force it. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
Like if it's the time, like I didn't have a plan in the end of August to beginning of September. And then I was like, oh, maybe it's yoga. And then you showed up. So, like, me, I believe that that was like kind of a guide to, like, okay,
Me
this is what
too.
it is.
Oh,
This is where you're supposed to be. Like, I try not to force that square peg into the round hole,
that's so good.
And, once I was in yoga teacher training, a coworker of mine sent me an Instagram reel of you. And she's like, hey, I think you should go here. And I was like, oh my God, that's where I'm going. She saw that that's where I would fit, right? And I think that that's also important too. I think to not just sign up for any yoga class, any yoga teacher training. I think that it's important that there's a connection with you and the teacher. Like,
Yeah. And
yeah,
that
because I
you
think that's
that it aligns with like what you're looking for, you
right,
know?
right,
And that's important. We are a school. We're not a studio.
right,
So we just, you know what I mean? That's important. And I also, I curse. It's important. Like I will continue to be me. And so you have to feel that. You have to, you have to like the person. That's important.
right.
Yeah.
But with you, it was like I had all of these things that I was like, okay, well, this is what I want. And the yoga studio that you were connected with had the functional strength training class in it.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, the only yoga I've ever done was Baron Baptiste yoga, and then Melissa is in yoga.
Yeah.
Like, so for me, there was all of this. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
This is where I'm supposed to be.
That's cool. That's cool. I'm like thinking back to the first time we
Yeah,
talked. It's just
I
so, it's
knew.
crazy. It feels like it was so long ago, but it wasn't?
And I got off that Google Meet, and she was like, "You're sure?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm sure."
Yep.
Because I don't normally make decisions like that. It takes me a while. But
Yeah.
the other place that, like I said, I was trying to fit in there and they weren't responding to me.
Yeah.
And then even on their website, like you had to have, I don't know, 2 years of your own practice. And I didn't have that. But
Yeah.
this is what I wanted to do.
Right.
And now I know that I didn't need my own practice.
You don't need a huge, big,
Yeah.
you just don't because that's not the way we actually teach. So,
Right.
I mean, I relate to that. There's like four big decisions I've made in this regard, and every single one of them I knew and I didn't think much about it. Going to yoga teacher training, opening my studio, opening my school in Arizona, moving to Arizona. Like
Yeah.
I knew, and it was just a matter of figuring out the logistics after,
Right. Right.
whether that meant like getting funding. I had to get funding in all four of those situations to make those things happen, like what the timeline, all that stuff. But when you know you want to do it, it's just a matter of making it work after.
Even quitting my job, they're like, "Wait, you're gonna quit your job? What are you gonna do for this? What are you gonna do for healthcare?" I'm like, "I don't know. I'll
We'll
figure it
figure it
out."
out. Yeah, I will figure it out.
And that's what Sean and I know this too, but like everything I've ever been through, I've gotten through.
Exactly. Yeah. I think having a perfect plan ahead of time is, I think that's an unrealistic expectation that
I
we
agree.
think, yeah, we think that that's how it goes. And it's actually quite the opposite. Some of the best decisions I've made, I've had no plan at all.
I'm still learning that, right? Because
Yeah.
there's part of me that still wants to be
Well,
like,
that's
okay,
hard. That's really hard.
yeah.
And then there's other decisions I've made where I'm like, should have thought that through a little bit more.
Funny because I'm going to share this with you. We went out to dinner on Saturday. Well, we got all dressed up and we were going to go to
Oh my God, I saw. So
yeah,
cute.
we were going to go to this one place. It's fancy, and we got there, and she's like, "Do you have reservations?" I was like, "No."
Yeah.
And she's like, "Well, we can't see you until 8." And I'm like, "We already had plans for after dinner, and like this is where I wanted to go. This is what I was dressed for."
Yeah.
And where we ended up was completely different. And it was the plans can change, the details can change, but like wherever you end up, that's part of the plan. That's the plan, right? Like, and so I said to him, okay, so now we're going on this day. And he could see that once we weren't getting seated, that I was like, I think I was disappointed because I was disappointing him, but he could care less. But
Yeah.
that was the plan, that was the plan, and it's
Yeah.
still for me, it's so hard in the process of, okay, accepting that this is the plan too, Sometimes my personal training clients are gonna stop coming to me. Hopefully, they get to do it on their own, or some people might not come, after an assessment. That's part of the plan,
It is part of
right?
the plan.
Not
Yeah.
every yoga class that I teach is gonna be filled maybe, right? So,
That's
part
it.
of the plan.
Yeah. Some people are supposed to stay around for a short time, some people a long time. Yeah. Laura, you're so good. Okay. One last final hard question.
Okay.
What are you? I can think about 100 ways to answer this for you because you're an incredible human. But what are you most proud of yourself for through this process?
Through yoga process?
Through the process of this training?
I think I'm most proud that I keep allowing myself to be me. I keep learning about me, and I keep loving the parts of me that I've neglected. The Amish and the Amish changed something inside of me because I heard the 12 steps the whole time,
Yeah.
and, and I'd heard about the Bhagavad Gita before. And so the version that I read, because I couldn't find something that was going to connect to me that I even understood. And then when I read it, I was like, oh my God, I get it. For me, that battle's inside here, and it's all going to be okay.
Yeah. When you were just, I hear you, boys. When you were just talking about like, even when things don't go to plan, that's part of the plan. I was thinking about the Gita. I was like,
Yeah.
that's so good, Laura. Okay. So, being that you're going to be teaching and offering classes and all of the stuff, how can people find you? What is your preferred method of like having people reach out and how to get to you?
So I'm on Facebook, Lori Straub. I started an Instagram for the Straub movement, but I haven't posted anything. It's going to be up and running soon. That's about it.
No, that's
Email?
perfect. I will link, if you want, I can link all of that I'll link it all in the show notes below so people can have it. And then can you share what your current offers are, how people can work with you?
Yeah, so I'm in Northeast Philly, and we have a gym garage. So I am personal training people,
Yes.
and I'm working on a series classes, so 6 to 8 week packages. There's also, like I said, a rec center across the street that I'm going to be doing workshops at, and the local YMCA is also interested in having me come in and teach classes.
God, I love it. That's so, Lori, this is huge. That's huge. Like, do you hear how huge that is?
It is
Get
huge.
it, girl. Oh, I love it. I love it. That's awesome. Do you prefer people email you or shoot you a message on Facebook?
Facebook.
Facebook? Okay, cool. So
Yeah.
I'll put all that contact below.
Okay.
And I'm just so grateful to know you. It's just been such a treat having you in the training and like going through the process of what that looks like, but seeing you getting after it and opening your own business, going after your goals and stepping into being an entrepreneur. That's what this is about. And it's really huge. So I'm just so grateful that you came on and you're willing to be so open and honest and share with us. So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
All right, and everybody out there, thank you for listening, and we will see you on the next episode. Thanks, Laura.